In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, caught in a whirlwind of deadlines, expectations, and constant distractions. Many of us carry the weight of stress and anxiety, wondering if there's a way to find calm amidst the chaos. What if the key to managing these feelings isn't found in the latest trends or quick fixes, but in a philosophy that's been guiding people for over 2,000 years? Stoicism, rooted in the wisdom of thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, offers timeless tools to help us navigate life's challenges with clarity and resilience. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." In this video, we'll explore 20 practical Stoic practices designed to help you manage anxiety and stress, transforming the way you respond to life's uncertainties. This isn't just philosophy, it's a way of life, and it starts right here. At the heart of Stoicism lies a simple yet profound principle, the dichotomy of control. This idea teaches us that some things are within our power while others are not. Anxiety often creeps in when we lose sight of this distinction, obsessing over external outcomes we can't guarantee. As Epictetus wisely put it, some things are up to us and some things are not up to us. Recognizing this difference is the first step toward peace of mind. Take, for instance, the stress of a job interview. It's natural to worry about whether you'll get the offer, but that outcome ultimately depends on factors beyond your control: the hiring manager's preferences, the competition, even the company's budget. What you can control, however, is how well you prepare, researching the role, practicing your answers, and presenting your best self. These are all actions within your power. By shifting your focus to what you can influence, you not only reduce anxiety but also increase your chances of success. This practice isn't just about letting go of what you can't control, it's about channeling your energy into meaningful action. So take a moment to reflect. What's one thing you're currently worrying about that's outside your control? How might redirecting your focus change your approach and your peace of mind? Negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum as the Stoics called it, might sound counterintuitive at first. Why would anyone want to dwell on the worst-case scenarios? But this practice isn't about catastrophizing, it's about preparing. Seneca once said, "What is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect, and unexpectedness adds to the weight of a disaster." This is a reason for ensuring that nothing ever takes us by surprise. By imagining what could go wrong, we strip away the fear of the unknown and build a foundation of resilience. Take the example of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who faced countless challenges during his reign. He used negative visualization to mentally prepare for the possibility of betrayal, loss, and even death. By confronting these fears in his mind, he was able to face them with clarity and composure when they arose. This practice didn't make him pessimistic, it made him untouchable by anxiety. So how can this apply to us today? Think about an upcoming difficult conversation you've been dreading. What's the worst that could happen? Maybe the other person gets angry or the discussion doesn't go as planned. By visualizing these outcomes, you can prepare your responses and approach the situation with calmness rather than dread. It's not about expecting the worst, it's about being ready for anything. How might imagining the worst help you feel more prepared? It's a question worth reflecting on because often the fear of the unknown is more paralyzing than the reality itself. When we face our fears head-on, even in our minds, we reclaim our power over them. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Time is a river, and you cannot step into the same waters twice." This powerful reminder from one of Stoicism's greatest minds cuts straight to the heart of why embracing the present moment is so essential. Anxiety has a way of pulling us out of the here and now, whether we're replaying past mistakes or worrying about what's yet to come. But the Stoics understood that the only moment we truly have control over is this one. The past is behind us, the future is uncertain, and the present is where life unfolds. Think about it. How often do we let stress build because we're mentally stuck in a situation that's over or one that hasn't even happened yet? The practice of being fully present isn't just about mindfulness, it's about reclaiming your mental energy. When you focus on what's right in front of you, you strip away the layers of unnecessary worry and find clarity in the simplicity of the moment. A practical way to start is through mindful breathing. Take a few seconds right now to notice your breath. Feel the air moving in and out, the rise and fall of your chest. That simple act anchors you in the present, grounding you in the reality of what's happening right here, right now. It's a small but powerful exercise that can reset your mind and bring you back to center. So here's a question to reflect on. What's one thing you can do today to fully engage with the present moment? Maybe it's taking a walk without your phone, savoring a meal without distractions, or even just pausing to notice the sounds around you. The key is to choose something that pulls you into the now, allowing you to experience life as it's happening rather than as you're imagining it. The present moment is a gift, don't let it slip away unnoticed. One of the most powerful tools Stoicism offers for overcoming anxiety and stress is the practice of gratitude. At its core, gratitude is about recognizing the value in every experience, even the challenging ones. As Epictetus once said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." This mindset encourages us to shift our focus from what's going wrong to what's still going right, no matter how small it may seem. When life feels overwhelming, it's easy to get caught up in the negative aspects of a situation. But Stoicism teaches us to reframe these moments by asking, "What can I learn from this?" or "How is this helping me grow?" For example, imagine you're stuck in traffic, feeling frustrated and late for an important meeting. Instead of letting stress take over, you might pause and think, "This delay gives me a moment to take a deep breath and prepare for the meeting ahead." It's a simple shift, but it can make a world of difference in how you experience stress. A practical way to incorporate this into your daily life is by keeping a gratitude journal. Each evening, take a few minutes to write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. Sometimes it's the small moments, like a kind word from a colleague or the warmth of the sun on your face, that have the most impact. Over time, this habit trains your mind to look for the good, even in difficult circumstances. So, let's take a moment to reflect. What's one thing you're grateful for, even in a challenging situation? It could be the support of a friend, a lesson you've learned, or simply the fact that you're still standing. Gratitude doesn't erase the challenges, but it helps us see them through a lens of resilience and perspective, turning even the toughest moments into opportunities for growth. Change is the one constant in life, a truth that has echoed through the ages. The Stoics called this idea amor fati, or the love of fate. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, once said, "Everything that happens, happens as it should." If you observe carefully, you will find this to be so. What he meant was that instead of resisting change or fearing the unknown, we should embrace it as a natural part of existence. Life is fleeting and nothing lasts forever, not our successes, our possessions, or even our struggles. By accepting this impermanence, we can release the grip of anxiety that comes from trying to control what's ultimately uncontrollable. Think about the way we often worry about the future. What if things don't go as planned? What if we lose what we have? These fears are rooted in the illusion that we can hold onto things forever. But the Stoics remind us that this mindset only creates unnecessary suffering. Take the example of Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, who faced exile and later the loss of his wealth and status. Instead of despairing, he saw these events as opportunities to practice his philosophy. He wrote, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant." His acceptance of impermanence allowed him to find peace even in the face of great loss. So, how can this idea help you? Start by reflecting on the things you're holding onto too tightly. Maybe it's a relationship, a job, or even a particular outcome you're fixated on. What would it feel like to let go of the need to control it? By accepting that change is inevitable, you free yourself from the weight of fear and open yourself to the possibilities of the present moment. Amor Fati isn't about giving up, it's about finding strength in surrender and peace in the knowledge that life, in all its unpredictability, is still worth embracing. Stoicism teaches us that self-discipline is the cornerstone of a tranquil and resilient mind. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." His words remind us that our unchecked desires and impulses often create unnecessary stress and anxiety. Mastering these desires through self-discipline isn't about deprivation, it's about reclaiming control over your own mind and actions. When you cultivate discipline, you're not just avoiding distractions, you're building a foundation of inner strength that can weather life's challenges. Take, for example, the simple act of setting boundaries with technology. In today's world, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by constant notifications and the endless scroll of social media. But by intentionally limiting screen time or designating tech-free hours, you create space for clarity and calm. This kind of disciplined habit doesn't just reduce stress, it empowers you to focus on what truly matters. Similarly, practices like regular exercise or daily meditation aren't just good for the body, they train the mind to stay steady in the face of chaos. So, ask yourself, what's one habit you can cultivate to build self-discipline? Maybe it's waking up 15 minutes earlier to journal, or saying no to that extra hour of TV to read instead. Small, intentional choices add up over time, shaping a life of purpose and tranquility. The Stoics believed that self-discipline is the path to freedom, not from external pressures, but from the internal turmoil that holds us back. When you master your desire, you master your peace of mind. One of the most transformative Stoic practices is learning to see challenges not as setbacks, but as opportunities for growth. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that every obstacle holds the potential to teach us something valuable, to strengthen our character, and to guide us toward a better path. Think of it like this: when you face a wall, you're not meant to stop. You're meant to climb it, go around it, or even break through it. The wall itself becomes the very thing that propels you forward. Take the example of Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who was born into slavery. His circumstances were undeniably harsh, yet he used his hardships as a foundation for building wisdom and resilience. Instead of letting his situation define him, he chose to see it as a chance to cultivate inner strength and freedom. His teachings continue to inspire millions today, a testament to how adversity can be transformed into lasting impact. This mindset isn't just for ancient philosophers, it's incredibly relevant in our modern lives. Imagine facing a career setback like losing a job or missing out on a promotion. It's easy to feel defeated in the moment, but what if you viewed it as an opportunity? Maybe it's a chance to explore a new career path, develop skills you've neglected, or even start your own venture. The challenge itself becomes the catalyst for growth, pushing you toward possibilities you might not have considered otherwise. So, here's a question to reflect on. How can you reframe a current challenge in your life as an opportunity? What might you learn, or how might you grow by shifting your perspective? Have you ever felt the weight of constantly wanting more? More possessions, more approval, more of everything? Stoicism offers a powerful antidote to this endless craving. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that true freedom comes from limiting our external desires rather than endlessly chasing them. When we tie our happiness to things outside our control, whether it's the latest gadget, the perfect job title, or the approval of others, we set ourselves up for anxiety and disappointment. By reducing our attachment to material possessions and external validation, we create space for inner peace. Think about it, the less we crave, the less we feel the pressure to acquire or impress. This doesn't mean we have to live a life of deprivation, but rather we can choose to focus on what truly matters. One practical way to start is by decluttering, not just your physical space, but also your mental and emotional load. Let go of things that no longer serve you, whether it's a closet full of unused items or a social media habit that leaves you feeling drained. Setting boundaries with social media, for example, can be a game changer. Instead of scrolling endlessly for likes and validation, try limiting your screen time and focusing on activities that bring you genuine joy and fulfillment. These small steps can have a big impact on reducing stress and helping you feel more grounded. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one external desire you can let go of to find more peace in your life? Stoicism teaches us that comfort, while pleasant, can sometimes be a mask for stagnation. To truly grow and build resilience, we must occasionally step into the unknown, embrace hardship, and willingly face discomfort. The ancient Stoics believed that voluntary discomfort was not just a test of character, but a training ground for the mind and spirit. Seneca once said, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" This practice wasn't about punishing oneself, but about preparing for life's inevitable challenges by proving that we can endure more than we think. Take the example of Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history. Despite his position as Emperor of Rome, he often chose to live simply, sleeping on a hard bed and eating modest meals. By doing so, he reminded himself that true strength comes not from luxury, but from the ability to remain steady in the face of adversity. This wasn't just a personal choice, it was a deliberate exercise in resilience, a way to ensure that he could handle whatever life threw at him. In our modern lives, the idea of voluntary discomfort might look different, but the principle remains the same. Perhaps it's skipping a meal to practice fasting and self-discipline, or taking a cold shower to build mental toughness. These small, intentional acts of discomfort train us to stay calm and focused when confronted with larger, unavoidable hardships. They remind us that we are capable of enduring far more than we often give ourselves credit for. So consider this: what's one small discomfort you can embrace today to strengthen your resilience? It doesn't have to be drastic, just enough to stretch your limits and remind you of your inner strength. Let's take a moment to consider one of the most profound yet often overlooked Stoic practices, reflecting on mortality, or as the Stoics called it, memento mori. At first glance, thinking about death might seem grim. Why dwell on something so inevitable? But the Stoics saw it differently. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do and say and think. This isn't a call to live in fear, but rather a reminder to live with intention. When we acknowledge that our time is finite, it helps us strip away the noise and focus on what truly matters. Imagine spending hours worrying about a rude comment someone made or stressing over a minor setback at work. Now, picture yourself reflecting on the fact that life is fleeting. Suddenly, those concerns shrink in comparison. This practice doesn't just reduce anxiety, it reorients our priorities. It's like holding up a mirror to our lives and asking, "Is this how I want to spend my limited time?" History gives us powerful examples of how this practice shaped lives. Take Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, who wrote extensively about the importance of reflecting on mortality. He urged his students to live each day as if it could be their last, not out of fear, but out of a desire to live fully and meaningfully. By embracing the reality of death, he argued, we free ourselves from the shackles of trivial worries and focus on what's truly valuable, our character, our relationships, and our purpose. So, how might reflecting on mortality help you focus on what's important? It's a question worth pondering. When we remind ourselves that life is short, we're less likely to waste it on things that don't align with our values. Instead, we're inspired to act with purpose, to cherish the people we love, and to pursue the things that bring us fulfillment. It's not about living in fear of the end, but about living so fully that when the end comes, we've left nothing important undone. One of the most liberating Stoic practices is learning to detach yourself from outcomes. Epictetus once said, "Some things are up to us and some things are not up to us." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that while we can control our efforts, we can't always control the results, and that's okay. When you focus solely on what's within your power, your preparation, your work ethic, your attitude, you free yourself from the anxiety of uncertainty. Think about it. How often do we stress over things that are completely out of our hands? Whether it's a job interview, a test, or even a conversation, we tend to fixate on the outcome rather than the process. Yet, it's the process that truly matters. For example, imagine you're preparing for a big presentation. Instead of worrying about whether your audience will love it, focus on what you can do, research thoroughly, practice your delivery, and bring your best effort. When you shift your mindset this way, you'll find that the pressure lifts and you're able to perform with more clarity and confidence. So, how can you start focusing more on your effort and less on the outcome? It begins with recognizing that your value isn't tied to external results. You've done your part, now let go of the rest. Building emotional resilience is one of the most powerful tools Stoicism offers for overcoming anxiety and stress. At its core, Stoicism teaches us that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "He who is brave and temperate will master his anger and fear." This idea is at the heart of emotional resilience, learning to manage our emotions through reason rather than letting them control us. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm but remaining steady, knowing that the chaos around you can't shake your inner calm. That's the kind of resilience Stoicism helps us cultivate. Anxiety often feeds off our inability to manage emotions like fear, anger, or frustration. But when we develop emotional resilience, we create a buffer between external events and our internal reactions. Instead of being swept away by immediate feelings, we pause, reflect, and respond with clarity. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions, it's about understanding them and choosing how to act. For instance, when anger arises, instead of lashing out, we can ask ourselves, is this reaction justified? Is it helpful? This simple pause can be transformative. So how do we start building this kind of resilience? One practical step is journaling. Writing down your thoughts and emotions helps you process them objectively, giving you a clearer perspective. Another strategy is the pause, taking a moment to breathe and reflect before reacting. This small habit can prevent impulsive decisions driven by raw emotion. Consider this: what's one emotion you can work on managing more effectively? Maybe it's anger, fear, or even impatience. By focusing on just one, you can begin to apply these Stoic principles in a meaningful way, gradually strengthening your emotional resilience. As you practice, you'll find that anxiety loses its grip when you approach emotions with reason and calm. It's not about becoming emotionless, it's about becoming the master of your emotions rather than their servant. And that's where true peace of mind begins. Humility is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, and it's far more than just a virtue, it's a powerful tool for reducing stress. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Keep in mind how fast things pass by and are forgotten the world itself, and its concerns will soon vanish like smoke." This reminder of our fleeting existence helps put our worries into perspective. When we let go of the need to be overly important or to prove ourselves constantly, we free ourselves from the pressure of ego-driven stress. Humility allows us to focus on what truly matters, rather than being consumed by seeking validation or comparing ourselves to others. Take the example of Cato the Younger, a Stoic figure known for his unwavering principles. Despite his high status, he lived a simple life, often putting the needs of others before his own. His humility wasn't a sign of weakness but a source of inner strength. By not clinging to his position or prestige, he remained unshaken by the chaos of his time. This practice of humility gave him a sense of peace that many of us strive for today. When we embrace humility, we stop seeing every challenge as a personal affront or every setback as a blow to our worth. Instead, we recognize that we're part of something larger and that our struggles, while real, are not the center of the universe. This shift in perspective can be incredibly liberating. So, how can practicing humility help you feel more at ease? It starts with letting go of the need to control how others see you and focusing on what you can do to contribute meaningfully without the weight of ego holding you back. Simplicity is often overlooked, yet it's one of the most powerful tools for cultivating tranquility. The Stoics believed that excess, whether in possessions, commitments, or even thoughts, weighs us down and creates unnecessary stress. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This idea is at the heart of Stoic simplicity. When we strip away the non-essentials, we make room for what truly matters, freeing ourselves from the constant pressure to do more, have more, and be more. Simplifying your life doesn't mean living with nothing. It means intentionally choosing what adds value and letting go of what doesn't. Start by examining your daily routines. Are there habits or tasks that drain your energy without contributing to your goals? Next, consider your possessions. Do they serve a purpose or do they clutter your space and mind? Finally, look at your commitments. Are you saying yes to too many things, leaving you stretched thin and overwhelmed? Practical steps can make this process easier. Try minimalism. Focus on keeping only what you need and love, whether it's physical items or digital clutter. Time blocking is another effective tool. By allocating specific blocks of time for tasks, you create structure and reduce the chaos of an overloaded schedule. These small changes can have a big impact, helping you reclaim focus and reduce stress. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one area of your life you can simplify today? It could be as simple as decluttering a drawer, saying no to an unnecessary commitment, or setting aside dedicated time for rest. The goal isn't perfection but progress. By embracing simplicity, you're not just organizing your life, you're creating space for peace and clarity to thrive. Stoicism teaches us that compassion isn't just a virtue, it's a practical tool for navigating the complexities of human relationships. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "We are all parts of one great body. Nature produced us related to one another." This idea reminds us that we're deeply interconnected, and how we treat others inevitably affects our own well-being. When we approach others with kindness and understanding, we're not just helping them, we're creating a sense of harmony within ourselves. Think about a time when you were in a disagreement with someone. Maybe it was a coworker, a family member, or even a stranger. Now, imagine how that situation might have changed if you'd approached it with empathy instead of frustration. Compassion allows us to step outside our own perspective and see the humanity in others, even when they're challenging us. By doing this, we diffuse tension, reduce stress, and often find solutions that wouldn't have been possible through anger or defensiveness. Take a modern example. Imagine you're in a heated conversation with a friend about a misunderstanding. Instead of pushing your point, you pause and try to understand their feelings. You acknowledge their perspective, even if you don't fully agree. This simple act of compassion can transform the dynamic completely, turning a potential argument into a moment of connection. So, how can practicing compassion improve your relationships and reduce stress? When we choose kindness over judgment, we create an environment of mutual respect and understanding. This not only strengthens our bonds with others, but also lightens the emotional load we carry. Stress often comes from conflict and miscommunication. Compassion helps us navigate these moments with grace, making life feel a little easier and a lot more meaningful. Let's take a moment to reflect on what truly matters in life. For the Stoics, the cornerstone of a meaningful existence lies not in wealth, status, or external achievements, but in living a life of virtue. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." This simple yet profound statement reminds us that integrity and moral excellence are the true measures of a well-lived life. When we shift our focus from chasing external success to cultivating inner virtues like honesty, courage, and kindness, something remarkable happens. The anxieties that stem from constant comparison or the fear of failure begin to fade. Why? Because virtue is entirely within our control. You can't always control whether you get that promotion or how others perceive you, but you can always choose to act with integrity. Take a modern example. Imagine you're at work and a mistake is made, one that could easily be blamed on someone else. Choosing honesty, even if it means facing consequences, not only aligns with your values but also brings a sense of calm and clarity. It's a reminder that true success isn't measured by what we achieve outwardly, but by who we become inwardly. So here's a question to ponder. What's one way you can prioritize virtue in your daily life? Whether it's showing patience in a frustrating moment or standing up for what's right, even when it's inconvenient, these small acts of integrity can profoundly shape your sense of peace and purpose. In a world that's constantly buzzing with noise and distraction, the Stoic practice of silence and solitude offers a powerful antidote to anxiety and stress. Seneca once wrote, "The time you spend in solitude is the time you become acquainted with yourself." These words remind us that stepping away from the chaos of daily life isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity for mental clarity and emotional resilience. When we allow ourselves moments of quiet, we create space to untangle the mental clutter that often fuels stress. Silence becomes a refuge, a place where we can step back, reflect, and regain perspective. But how can we make this a practical part of our lives? Start small. Dedicate just 10 minutes a day to meditation, sitting in stillness without any distractions. Or consider unplugging from technology for an hour, giving your mind a break from the constant stream of information and notifications. These simple steps can lead to profound shifts in how you handle stress and anxiety. So take a moment to consider this. How can you carve out more silence in your daily routine? It doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes the smallest changes can make the biggest difference. So much of the anxiety we carry comes from the weight of judgment, the constant evaluations we make about others, the world, and perhaps most punishingly, ourselves. Stoicism offers a powerful antidote to this burden, the practice of letting go of judgment. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This simple yet profound idea challenges us to stop labeling external events as good or bad and instead focus on our own response. When we judge, we create unnecessary friction that fuels stress, frustration, and even resentment. But what if we could step back and simply observe without assigning value or blame? Take self-criticism, for example. Many of us are our own harshest judges, replaying mistakes in our minds or focusing on perceived flaws. This kind of judgment traps us in a cycle of anxiety, as if we're constantly on trial. Stoicism invites us to release this inner critic, to see ourselves with compassion rather than condemnation. By doing so, we free up mental space and energy, allowing us to approach life with greater calm and clarity. The same principle applies to how we view others. When we judge someone else's actions or choices, we often project our own insecurities or expectations onto them. This not only creates tension in relationships, but also distracts us from the only thing we truly control, our own thoughts and actions. Letting go of judgment doesn't mean ignoring wrongdoing or avoiding difficult conversations. It means approaching these moments with an open mind and a sense of neutrality. So here's a question to reflect on. What's one judgment you can release to feel more at peace? It might be a critical thought about yourself, a lingering resentment toward someone else, or even a rigid expectation of how life should be. The act of letting go can be liberating, bringing a sense of lightness and freedom that helps us navigate life's challenges with greater ease. Taking a moment each evening to reflect on your day is one of the most powerful tools Stoicism offers for managing stress and anxiety. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic thinkers, once wrote, "When you have trouble getting out of bed in the morning, remember that your defining characteristic is to work with others even to the point of fatigue." This idea of self-examination, of looking inward to understand your actions and motivations, is at the heart of daily reflection. By revisiting the events of your day, you create an opportunity to assess what went well, where you stumbled, and how you can grow. It's not about dwelling on mistakes, but rather about learning from them and becoming more self-aware. This practice of evening reflection can be a game changer for reducing stress. It allows you to process emotions, release tension, and gain clarity on what truly matters. When you take the time to examine your thoughts and actions, you're less likely to carry the weight of unresolved feelings into the next day. One way to deepen this habit is by keeping a journal. Writing down your reflections not only helps you track your progress, but also provides a tangible record of your growth over time. It's a way to celebrate your wins, no matter how small, and to identify patterns that might be holding you back. So, as you prepare to close out your day, ask yourself, what's one thing you learned about yourself today? It could be a moment of patience you didn't know you had, a reaction you'd like to improve, or even a reminder of what brings you joy. This simple question can open the door to greater self-awareness and a calmer, more intentional way of living. One of the most profound teachings of Stoicism is the cultivation of inner strength, a practice that helps us navigate life's challenges with unwavering resilience. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This simple yet powerful idea reminds us that our true power lies within, not in the circumstances we face. By focusing on our mental and emotional fortitude, we can reduce our dependence on external validation and find stability even in the face of uncertainty. History is filled with examples of Stoic figures who embodied this principle. Take Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled during times of war and plague. Despite the immense pressures of leadership, he consistently turned inward, relying on his own sense of purpose and discipline to guide him. His writings in Meditations reveal a man who understood that inner strength wasn't about avoiding hardship, but about meeting it with clarity and resolve. His ability to remain steadfast even in the most turbulent times serves as a timeless example of what it means to cultivate this kind of resilience. So, how can we develop more inner strength in our own lives? Start by shifting your focus from what's happening around you to how you respond to it. practice mindfulness to stay present and remind yourself that your worth isn't tied to external achievements or opinions. Engage in daily reflection, asking yourself what you can control and what you must accept. Over time, these small, intentional actions build a foundation of inner strength that allows you to face life's challenges with calmness and confidence. Inner strength isn't something you're born with, it's something you develop, one deliberate choice at a time. As we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on the power of these 20 Stoic practices. Each one, whether it's focusing on what you can control, practicing gratitude, or embracing discomfort, is a tool designed to help you navigate life's challenges with clarity and calm. Together, they form a toolkit for resilience, offering practical ways to reduce anxiety and stress in your daily life. Think of them not as isolated techniques, but as interconnected principles that build on one another, creating a stronger, more grounded mindset. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This idea of self-mastery is at the heart of Stoicism. It's not about eliminating all difficulties, but about changing how you respond to them. By adopting even one of these practices, you can begin to shift your perspective and take control of your inner world. So, where do you start? Pick one practice that resonates with you and commit to it for a week. Notice how it impacts your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Reflection is key. Take time each day to consider what you've learned and how you can apply it moving forward. If you found these insights helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more Stoic wisdom to guide you on your journey. And I'd love to hear from you. Which practice are you most excited to try? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Remember, the path to a calmer, more centered life begins with a single step. Let's take it together.